And there we are. We are live. Awesome. Welcome everybody to this our last case study HOA group meeting. We'll have one next week when we discuss our accountability projects, but that one should go pretty quick, I feel. So, just go right on into it. So, since to talk about, it says to do a brief synopsis of the case. So the synopsis, or at least my understanding of it, is we have this young man, Jamie Turner. He's 32 years old. He accomplished his MBA about 6 years ago. In that 6 years, he's now on his third upper executive management position. First was with a paper manufacturer, and then another was with another company. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. But he's kind of, the first job he thought it was too strict, and so he jumped ship on that one. He didn't feel like there was really room for him to spread his wings. Second job, they're just felt like he was reading on the wall that it wasn't going to be there. At least that's kind of how I understood it. And then he got a friend of his, or the agency, found him this job at MLI. He's the vice president of marketing, is what he initially signed up for. But shortly after signing up, his boss, Pat Carduo, asked him to also be the VP of sales, take over that so that he didn't have so much going on his plate. His boss, Pat, he had a really good relationship right at first, but the things started really being kind of a little rocky there for a little bit. Pat, he's also the president of another portion of the parent company, another division. So he's a pretty busy man. I think he's in two places at once, kind of thing. But we can talk about that in a minute, because I'll talk about that in a minute. One of my concerns about the case. And so he's kind of concerned about his relationship with Mr. Carduo, and Mr. Carduo's boss is going to be coming in to discuss the situation going on with everything, and Jamie Turner's kind of at a loss about what to do, or we're supposed to give our input on. So, anything you'd like to add to that synopsis, Veronica?
Well, you pretty much summarized that. I don't know. I mean, I can answer any questions you might have, but I think
we'll... So do you feel that was a good summary? Do you have anything to add to the summary?
Well, the problems, the issues, I think that's what we're going to get into pretty quickly. But I think that there are challenges in this position, like in any position. When you start a new job, there are a lot of issues there. Management, leadership, organization, clear definition of roles and tasks. So that is going to be a conflict.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's just go ahead and go into the discussion there. Like the email that I sent out. The first question is, what are the root problems in the case? Ryan, Veronica, I know, Ryan, you said you just kind of looked over it. Oh, like Ryan stepped out for a second there. Veronica?
Yeah.
Well, what do you feel the root problems in the case?
Well, I think that most of the issues in this case has to do with Cardulo, his personality as a leader. He's the VP. He's the president. Yeah, he's the president. His personality, his lack of respect for the people, the way he communicates with them is not the best. He is very demanding. He's definitely as in a autocratic leadership style. I think he has an idea of what he wants, but he is not very clear, and that's the way that's what causes Turner to feel confused most of the time, because at the beginning he said, okay, this is what we're going to be doing, this is what you're going to be doing, and then he switched. Like there is a part on the case study when Turner had a clear vision of what he would be doing. He wasn't really excited because it's not what he really wanted to do. It was something about more industrial marketing, which is not what he wanted to do, but he said, okay, I will go with that. And he gave it an autonomy of the pricing and everything. After he told it that he will be just doing the industrial marketing. That's one thing at the beginning. And the other thing that happened after that is that Cardullo was he was in a rush, basically. That's what I felt. He was in a rush to start transferring his duties to Turner. And he was just new. He was there for like, I don't know, a couple of weeks, 2 months, and he was already transferring new duties that were not part of his position yet, because he was not in that position. He was not ready yet. So there was a lot of confusion, I think. There wasn't clarity with the expectations. Cardullo has a clear expectation. He wanted to increase the margins, but there is a lot that has to be addressed and work on to get to that point. So Turner was like, he was shocked about what he has to do, and he didn't know sometimes where to go, what to do. He was confused sometimes. And then it got to a point when he was able to be able to do things, but Cardullo was not agreeing with that. He was upset. So he was having a really hard time with that. That's one of the things that I think. The other thing that I thought it was, I think I mentioned the lack of respect from Cardullo, the lack of defined expectations, a lot of pressure, definitely, mostly. And it was an excessive micromanagement. He was just, if you're in a position like the Turner had, and you have someone looking over your shoulder, watching what you're doing, if you're doing properly, that's very humiliating. It's humiliating for someone in Turner's position before his team. So many situations happened that I think we're going to be discussing in detail, but I think those were the roots of the problem. Excessive micromanagement, lack of respect from Cardullo, and not setting clear expectations for what Turner had to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No, go ahead and do your follow-up.
Okay, I was just going to say, so you feel like that one of the main root problems then would be just communication, Veronica?
Yes, communication will be one of the problems. Yeah, lack of respect.
Okay. Go ahead, Ryan.
I had to cut out there for a second. But yeah, so I kind of got a little bit of what you guys were saying. And I think that was one of the overarching themes of as I read this, is that the communication within the company is horrible. And it's not just the communication, but the inability of them to set clear expectations for what everybody's roles are. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was this class, one of the earlier cases we read, may have been a different class, but basically there's this company where everybody kind of just did whatever they wanted to, and it worked when they were small, but as they went to go get bigger, they found out that whole system didn't work, because then you had some people everybody was focused on certain things, but nobody was focused on other things. And I feel like that's very applicable here. Because you have this guy in Turner who's just kind of doing different things, but he doesn't really know what his role is. And I feel like every time he goes and makes a decision and acts, it's wrong in the eyes of what is his name, Cardullo, or his boss. And instead of saying, hey, that's great, but this is really where we need you and where we want you, he just says, no, we're not working on that. So I think those two things really together are really kind of what makes it really frustrating for him. If you're not doing a good job, and it's because you don't know what you should be doing, that leads to a sense of dissatisfaction with your job. And so I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's thinking about leaving.
Definitely. That's kind of something that I touched on in my case study as well. One of the three things that I pointed out as a problem, I felt that a fear of conflict is a root problem. And the reason I said that is, Jamie Turner doesn't really it fears talking to Mr. Cardullo about some of his opinions. Like when Mr. Cardullo wanted him to take over sales at such an early stage, he feared really giving pushback on that. He kind of feared that conflict. And then I think the same thing goes with Mr. Cardullo, where he fears conflict or a differentiating of opinion. And he uses very authoritative and he uses power and stuff like that. What reminds me or what sticks out to me is when he's talking about, when Mr. Kelly should spend time in Kansas City to oversee them. And ultimately he says, hey, remember that I am still the president of this division. He threw his authority out there. He didn't want to hear it. He had the fear of conflict. He didn't want to be second guessed on that one. And right there, that's a huge dysfunction of the team right there, is how I felt like that. So I feel that was definitely very much a root problem, is that fear of just healthy conflict among the team. So, all right. Either of you two have anything else to add to that question?
Nothing here.
Problem. Good. All righty. Next question. How did Turner get himself into this predicament?
Thinking the grass is greener on the other side.
Sorry, I got to sneeze. Yeah, it's his third position or third executive position in 6 years after gaining his MBA. Yeah, that does speak volume about him. He, the one at Lambeau Lamb, that one kind of made a little more sense because the company was having our harder times and stuff like that, trying to get himself in a better position on his own terms versus, when the company does go under. So that one I was a little more understanding of, but his first position after getting his MBA, I felt like maybe he should have stuck with that one there because it was a good gig. Yeah, it was a little more structured than what he wanted, but kind of like what you said, hey, maybe the grass is greener somewhere else, and so he's been job hunting a lot. I think when someone who's jumping positions like that so much, it's always in the back of their mind. Well, maybe if this one doesn't work out, I'm just gonna head over here instead.
You know what? I have something to share with you guys. I work when I just moved to the United States. I moved to work for a financial company, business company. It's an international company. So I was in a position that it was okay. It was a okay job. You know what I did? I like it, but I wanted more. I know in terms of financial reward, I was looking for more challenges, opportunities to grow and escalate because it's a huge company. So I applied to another job internally in the company to try something different, and it wasn't the right move. It was wrong, and I pray about it. I thought it was the right choice, and it offered me a lot of opportunities and challenges. But then suddenly the company closed that division, and they moved in turn. They did different things, and they reduced the staff. Then there was the 2009. I think it was when we had the big recession, and I lost my job. And the other department that I work for, they're still there. So sometimes. You have ambitions, you want to do things differently, and you never know what you're bargaining for. You never know. You have to be, I don't know. It was tough. I still miss the job, but you make a move sometimes, you don't make the best one, so you have to think a lot about it. But at that time was a short period of time. I had to make a decision. The position was out there, and I have, let's say it was Tuesday, and I have until Friday, and I had to apply. So I just took it. And I got it, and then gone. So.
Yeah, I've been there myself, Veronica. I completely understand. So.
Yeah.
So what else do you think Turner did to get himself into this predicament? Did or didn't do?
I think I will go back a little bit to what you said at the beginning. The fear of conflict. I think that Cardullo, because he's the president, nobody actually confronted him. The fact that he's the president doesn't mean you cannot tell them the way you think and what you think is wrong. You don't have to disrespect someone to say, I don't agree with you. I don't agree. I don't think you're giving me clear expectation. I'm getting a little bit confused right now. You told me that you were hiring me to do this job and you're giving me autonomy, and now you're on top of me all the time. You told me that you lied all the employees to management to know their duties and just let them to work by themselves with minimal help. That's what you told me when I was just a couple weeks here. And as soon as I start working and creating things and doing things, you were like, you didn't approve it, you didn't like it, you were upset. You will go to my meetings and you will just sit there to watch, make sure I was doing things right. I don't understand what kind of autonomy are you talking about? There is a big contradiction. Can you tell me what you mean by that? Because I'm really confused. Are you changing my role? What is that? Did my expectation change? I'm not doing something right. Can you tell me? Can you give me some hints so I would know how to do things better? There was not a discussion. It was a fear of conflict. So how he got into the predicament because he just trusted. Oh, I will say this. First, how did he get into that? He kind of liked Cardullo at the beginning. He said he was funny. He has a sense of humor. They kind of like each other when they met in a restaurant or something like that. So he thought, hey, nice guy. He just went for the appearance, you know, the like getting along in a short period of time. And then he got into the job. And as things start to progress and problems and changes, I mean, he immediately started making changes in his role. And he didn't say anything because he was new and he was the president. So I think that was a problem.
Oh, hey, Jacob. How's it going?
Guys, sorry for being late.
It's all right. We're glad you could join.
I think that's an interesting point, Veronica. You know, they got along great at first. And as I was reading that, I kind of thought about how people can interview so differently than they actually, you know, how they perform their job. And not only a candidate interviewing, but the person doing the hiring as well, right? Because when I go to a job interview, or if I'm hiring either way, in my thing, it's got to be a symbiotic relationship, right? It both has to be mutually beneficial for both of you. The company has to like the person that's applying for the job, and in most cases, obviously depending on what you do, but more it's like careers and jobs for adults and stuff. The candidate has to like the company. They have to think it's a good fit for them too. You could have a superstar employee who doesn't like the company. Well, it's not necessarily going to be a good fit. So I think both of them interviewed really well, where they kind of, you know, put their best face forward, and all this, and that kind of got him to buy in. And then all of a sudden he gets in here, and who Cardullo presented himself to be in the interview is different than who he actually is, right? So I think that was just one thing that I found interesting, was that thing about interviews and how you know, people can present themselves one way, but you really never are gonna know that a situation's better until you're actually there. And for someone like Turner, who seems to be chasing that greener grass, you know, you can't just go off of your first initial meetings and say, oh, this place is definitely going to be better than the place that I'm at.
Yeah.
You got a good point there, Ryan. I agree.
I think anybody will get upset when they hire you and they tell you this is what you're going to be doing, everything, and they're really nice to you. You feel, oh, we're in a good start. They told me what I'm going to do. I get along with this person well, and it looks like everything is just great, and I'm excited. And then you start working, and they start changing things for you. And they think that what you're doing is wrong, and they tell you that you can do things, but I mean, one example is when he told that he wanted to fire Kelly, and he didn't want to. He said, I don't want to fire Kelly. So if he is the president, I mean, he was so immersed in every single thing that everyone was doing. I think that Cardullo has high expectations, and he wanted to be on top of everything. It's just what we said before. He was so authoritative, autocratic, that he didn't let people do their own thing in management. He didn't he by his behavior, she showed that he didn't trust them. But in the interview, when he met Turner, he said, hi, this is the guy. You know, kind of, I like him. I trust this guy. He's going to do a good job. And as soon as this guy started working his own way to prove who he is and what he can do, his hands were tied. So it's upsetting.
Thank you, Veronica. Jacob, we're discussing the question, how did Turner get himself into this predicament? You have any thoughts on that?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understood correct when I read through it, like just Turner's profile, it seems like he's been jumping around a lot from job to job and everything. So I mean, in the world today, we have people that do that. They just go for the money. Like if something changes, like for basketball, someone's gonna go somewhere else if they pay more because it's more money or whatnot. But in this case with Turner, I mean, he was still jumping from job to job, and then as we understand that, he goes to this job and then he kind of sits there and he's just like, oh freak, did I make the right decision to do this or not? And it kind of reminds me of the case we did last week or 2 weeks ago with the person who got hired to be that manager too. Like it's like you jump into a position and everything, if you get it, you're expected to do such and such things, and then all of a sudden like things change on you. It's hard to like, I guess, to what's the word? Like just change is hard, I guess, and some people can deal with it and other people can't. So I think, yeah, I mean, he was the one who decided to do it and everything, but it's not his fault that everything's changing on him. But it should be his ability to be able to, I guess, cater to all those things that are changing and everything.
Awesome, thank you. All right, next question. What is going on for Cardullo? What's his beef? What's his issue?
He's got someone that's challenging his authority, his program. Someone who's not just falling in line.
Following policy, yeah.
Okay. I think that too, and I also think that I think he's too divided in between the two different companies. You know, you've got this small division, which he's currently president over, and then he's also made president of this huge division that he's just been made, and his heart is in the huge division, and he's just trying to find someone to take over the small division. And so I think it's like the scripture that says, no man can serve two masters. He's having a hard time, I think, dedicating the appropriate amount of thought and dedication required to be president of MLI, because he's too invested in the other company as well. And one or the other is going to suffer, even though his boss has told him, hey, you know what? Don't worry about this new position that I have you for. It. We'll take care of it. You figure out what's going on at MLI. Find your successor. Get all of those ducks in a row, and then we can get you over here in San Diego. Let's get going on that one. But I think he sees the greener grass. Hey, this company's, a 600 million, or I can't remember what he said, but it was a huge number compared to what MLI is. And so his head's already in the clouds of what he's going to.
Yeah, and I think that Cardullo is his main goal right now is that he's looking for someone who is intelligent and aggressive, who can take upon the position for the MLI, because they have the other one, the triple S. So he thought, hey, this guy Turner looks like I like him. I think he can be the right man. And he actually kind of told him that he will be probably the one who will be the leader of that company, MLI. And so he was confident that Turner can fit in that position. And so he started giving him the task, and he was kind of supervising him to make sure he was doing. But you're right. I agree with you, Andrew. He probably wanted to have someone to lead MLI exactly in the same way he was leading. He was not opening himself the opportunity.
So you think Cardullo is a little disappointed?
I'm sorry?
You think he's a little disappointed in Jamie, and that's why he's being so hard on him? Hey, you know what? This is my man, and all of a sudden now he's not my man?
I don't know about disappointed. I think that the personality of Cardullo is so too much into himself that he thinks that the company is doing so well, MLI. So he wants someone to do things exactly the same way he's doing it. And, honestly, for that, if you need, he said that he was looking for someone intelligent and aggressive, because he probably considered himself very intelligent, and very aggressive. So to do the job has to be someone with those attributes. But you have to realize when you hire someone in a company, someone comes with their own skills and attributes and ideas. And it might be a little bit different. It might be even better, but he didn't want to change that. Still has to be his own way. It looks like everything has to be his own way because I said so. And I don't think that's right.
It's
I agree.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jacob.
I agree because I mean, like, change always happens in time. Like, technology is gonna improve every year and everything, and if you try to stick with the same thing, I mean, you're gonna lose out on all the opportunities that could come above. And I just feel like he was just like, no, stick to what I was doing and everything. But it's just that's the way he wanted it. But I think Turner just wanted to branch out, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like Cardullo's not ready to let go.
Exactly. Exactly.
He knows he needs to, but at the same time, it's like, well, you know, I have both positions right now. I'm not really in a rush. Like, why let this go? I've built something successful. And then kind of like you guys said, you know, the other guy, it's like, well, I have time to make this decision. Do I really want to let it go to someone who isn't going to stay exactly the way that I want things?
And you know what I sense with that? I sense that this Cardullo guy, vice president or president, this Cardullo man, it's an old-fashioned type of leadership, because usually you had to open up to innovation. Like Jacob just said a couple minutes ago, you had to let someone to contribute and bring something new to the table that can be better. And he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to open up to something better and different. He wants to continue things the same way. He's afraid that if things are done differently, they're not going to turn out good. They're not going to work. So he wants to stay in the same pattern. What reminds me, there was an experience that I had at work some time ago. Have you ever worked in an environment where there are people that they have a new system, suddenly come a new system, a new software or something, and everything changes? And you have people working for 15 years with one system and they have a really hard time changing that because they don't like the new one and they argue about it. Or different other things at work. Have you ever experienced that at work and people don't like it?
Yeah, I've been there.
I feel it's exactly the same, but at a higher level with Cardullo. He doesn't want to accept changes. He doesn't want anything new. He wants to stay in old-fashioned leadership style.
That's a very interesting point, Veronica. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question, if you guys are all right with that. What did Pat Cardullo and Jamie Turner each initially bring to the situation at MLY that would seem to ensure success? I had a harder time with this question, so
I think one of the things they both initially brought was a willingness to be partners, to work together well, with the best for the company at heart. And so, you know, it would allow them to be able to work together and to establish that transition from one to the other. And so that would, you know, seem that it would ensure success when you have two people who are kind of on the same wavelength, who are willing to work together and who respect one another. Obviously, that works out a little bit different in practice, but in theory, that's one thing that they both brought initially.
I think that Cardullo acted from the very first moment that like he liked Turner. And when you go to a job interview, knowing that there are so many candidates probably that have an interview or still they have to interview, and the person who is interviewing you is the president of the company, and he kind of tells you that you might be the one because he kind of like you. Then it's a mutual understanding on, like, you don't have to make a lot of merit. I mean, you don't have to work really hard because the job is almost yours. So that is probably what made Turner act in a very positive attitude and way, and then Cardullo like that. But Cardullo was causing that because of his attitude. You see, it's like, it's a feedback thing. It's just, you give something positive, you get positive. You, I don't know, you compliment someone, the other person likes you back and compliments you back. So it was something initially that wasn't really real. It was just a situation at the beginning. That's why there was a lot of disappointment later on. Turner was disappointed, and Cardullo was disappointed as well. It was not a very straightforward, it was not a very open connection. Cardullo was given a lot of information, and Turner was impressed that this man was the owner or the president of this company and this other company, the 600 million company. He was just so impressed, and he just looked at him. And so Cardullo sensed that he felt like, superior and powerful. And he liked that.
I agree. I think you have a good point there. I think another something that Jamie could add to it is, he graduated top of his class in MBA as his MBA, so that's got to say something. So go ahead, Jacob. I didn't mean to cut you up there.
I was just gonna agree with both with Ryan and Veronica. I just agree with what they said. I don't have anything else to say, but yeah, they took it out of my mouth.
Alrighty. We'll go to the next question then. What were the key choice points where either of them could have done things differently?
Never joined the company for Turner. Easy answer.
Yeah.
Answer. Things would have been a whole lot different if he had stayed at Wolf Company, whatever it was.
Whatever it's called.
The first thing that keeps on popping in my head with this question personally was Jamie Turner should have given more pushback on Cardullo when Cardullo was trying to give him the sales position in addition to his marketing position. They had already agreed to it when they were interviewing that he would take on those responsibilities, but at a much later time. And Cardullo kind of said, you know what? You can do it, and boom, and just shoved him on him and didn't really give him a chance. And I think that's when the relationship in between Turner and Cardullo started going downhill, because I think it was too much for one person. I feel sales and marketing, they're both huge departments. I don't think they should be head by one person, especially in a company as large as MLI. That should be definitely a two-person assignment.
Especially with somebody who doesn't feel comfortable with it. There may be one person who says, yes, give me both of them. I can handle it. I have them both running smoothly, efficiently. But when you got two that both have issues and you have someone who's new and doesn't feel confident in their abilities, you definitely shouldn't put them together.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I have many years of experience working, and probably because I'm older than you guys, so I guess I might be the older. I don't know, but anyway. So when I lived in Chile before I moved to the States, I worked for an international business company, and I was in charge of marketing. And I remember before I got to that position, I have a manager, and this Cardullo reminds me so much my manager. Because it got to a point when he said, okay, Veronica, now I'm going to promote you. You're going to have a different office. You're going to have your secretary and this and that, and you're going to be in charge of marketing and dealing with all the orders abroad and everything. I said, okay, that was great. I was excited. My salary increased. I had more autonomy. I just love it. And this person was used to make decisions. He transferred to me decisions that he made before. And now he will go to play golf to Sweden with the management from England, and Veronica will make some decisions, and he trusted me, okay? So when he left, I had to make tough decisions, and I made them. And then he was scared. He contacted me from where he was in Sweden. He contacted me and he said, what's going on? So I told him about the business and about a portfolio that I prepared and that a big sale that I have and everything. And he said, oh, but we don't do that. We don't offer that product. Why did you do that? I'm going to talk to you when I'm back. So when he was back, he called me to his office and he said, have a seat. I said, no, I'm fine. You know why? Because that's a psychological thing. If you sit down, your boss can stand up and start talking to you like this. So I was just, no, I'm okay. I'm good. So I started standing up. And then he said, okay, why do you do this? And I said, we don't sell that product to the company. I said, well, I consulted with the headquarters in England, and they told me it was okay. I offer a different, he didn't know the details. I said, I offer a different product that is cheaper. The manufacturing is cheaper. And the customer, one of the engineers went over there, they tested the product, they really like it in the machine, good quality products. And because my boss was gone for like a month, and he said, and it works. And it's something that he never did before. He never did it before. And actually the headquarters sent a message complimenting my decision. And he was upset. He was still upset because it never occurred to him to do that. So then I came to the office and said, you know what? He called me again. He said, you never make such a decision without asking me. And I said, you know what? I don't want these duties anymore. I'd rather to go back with what I was doing before. Because if you don't trust me and I'm going to have a hard time, I don't think I deserve it. And I was told by my coworkers, I said, I'm going to talk to him. And they said, he's going to fire you. I said, I don't care. And I talked to him. I said, if you don't like what I'm doing, just tell me and I will stop doing it. He was like, okay.